Morning, Wednesday today. Haven't done anything all week. I have been trawling the internet trying to find a cheap electric outboard motor to start this many raisin thing, right? I figure if I keep everything as cheap as possible, it's justifiable. I find a FLOVER, I'm assuming that's what it's called, electric outboard. £50, I thought. He says, been tested. But it's in this. So I put some fuel in the tank and I spend a couple of hours driving around Reading countryside, and now I end up in the wrong house again, thanks to Google. When I realised I was at the wrong house, I re-Googled it again. Oh, I'm only 10 miles away from where I need to be. Okay, so I troop all the way over to the other side of where I need to be, and I finally end up where I'm at. Anyway, the chappie guides me through the main gate. I drive up the driveway, I end up at his bungalow, and there's the outboard. I'm feeling quite confident about this. He said to me, he repeated what he'd written down. Yeah, my son tested this all out, it works fine. So I turned around and I said, look, please don't take this the wrong way. Would you be offended if I just quickly put this on the car battery on my car, just to make sure? Because I said, what we don't want to do is I go home and then I do something to it and then I claim to you that it don't work, is how I put it to him. I said, don't get upset, I don't know you from Adam, you don't know me from Adam, so if we both witness it running, then we both can't argue. And he agreed. So I clipped it onto the car battery. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay, so I look at the bloke, I went, well, I'll be buggered, something like that I said. And he's astonished. I think the response was genuine. He genuinely was not expecting that. He said to me, well, my son tested it out and it worked. I said, mate, that's not working. Unless there's something I missed. I mean, is this thing, because I don't know nothing about them either. I says, is this thing supposed to be in water and it measures as like a float or something? I don't know how these work. Is there an on-off switch somewhere I don't know about? So I turn it upside down and a whole load of rusty water poured out of the controller. Oh, well, there you go, I said. Now we know why it don't work. The electrics are all shot. Okay, he's totally embarrassed. He says, mate, I'll put X amount of money in the car to get up here. And he looked at me and he's so embarrassed. I know he was embarrassed, the poor boy. He turned and said, look, have it, just take it. Cover your cost in fuel. So I turned around and I said, okay. I said, thank you very much. He said, and I'll throw in 2 life jackets. I thought, I need life jackets. And I'll throw in a spare oar in as well that I had for a canoe. And I thought, I need one of them and all. I said, I'll tell you what, look, I ain't going to take this for nothing. I might be able to do something with it. I will buy the life jackets off you for 20 quid. How's that? He said, yeah, that's fine. I'll give it to charity then. And I thought, well, I don't care if you do or don't. That's up to you. So I pull it apart. What has happened is water got into the electric motor and absolutely destroyed the brushes. There's the motor. The bearing is knackered. There is just carnage. Now the stator plate that screws into the back of that helps move all the, that's now clean. I've cleaned that all up, but the brushes are absolutely shot to shit. There's the brushes. That one is smashed in half. Look, you can see where the wire was. This one, I think that came off the other one. I tried to modify, but the thing is, those wires that come off the brushes are just not long enough. Not thick enough. There's some serious current that runs through that. I mean, look at the wires that connect to the motor. That gives you an idea of what it needs to be, so no. Anyway, so I go online, I have a look, FLOVER. If I've got it correctly, they don't make them no more. The closest match to this is a BISON. I think that's the company that supplies parts, BISON. Bolam, whatever that is, don't exist no more. I can't find that. The website is not there. FLOVER is not there anymore. So if you ever see these on eBay, walk away from them, because you'll never get spare parts properly. However, saying that, the bottom, I've noticed the speed controller is very similar, but not the same, but very similar. But the static plate, again, is very similar. The plastic backing that screws in looks pretty identical, but here's where my thoughts were with it is, why not just buy it, see if it'll fit first, snip these wires off, put in some earth and ground style wire connectors instead, put that all on, see what happens, because on that other one that's coming, I've ordered already, it has a nut that screws down, whereas these have spade connectors you push in the back, and to be honest, they weren't that good anyway. Korean made, so it's not Chinese, it's not far from being Chinese, brilliant Chinese, so I figure it was worth trying to salvage. And then I tried to alter this, and the plastic is so knackered it snapped. The rest of it is all alley, I think. No, that's plastic. Yeah, that's plastic. Stainless steel, plastic, alley. What I want to do is I want to cut this tube down, so I was going to disconnect it from up here, and I was going to cut the tube down to about there, move this to about here, and then fix this onto a frame on the back of the canoe that tips forward and backwards so you can lift it over. The canoe that I'm planning to buy is just a little single seater thing. There's loads of them about going cheap, anything from 10 quid up to 50 quid. I've got plenty of fiberglass mat, and I need to order in some more resin, but I can widen the canoe. I can then put a fin on the back. I can then raise the height a little bit, so I've got a backrest. I'm going to change the bow shape so that it will cut through waves, so when I do hit things like the River Orwell, maybe I'm overthinking this, I don't know. I'm also going to put some compartments on it. I'm going to put polyurethane foam sheeting inside it as well and glass that down, and I'm probably even going to put a bilge pump which will be connected up to the motor that's powering this. I'm just trying to stay as safe as I possibly can. The risk is I'm making it too heavy and carting it from one point to the other. Yeah, I'm a novice, can you not tell? But we might as well have some fun in the process, you know. So that's what I've got going on. I've even got an old wheelchair sitting in the shed over there. It's not being used. It's got mag wheels, and I might nick the front wheels off it and make a trolley. So as it can be towed, but the trolley will be permanently fixed, so the wheels go right up, bungee strap them down, and then when I get to where I want to go and I want to pull it along, I can then drop the wheels down, the bungee strap it, lock it, and then we can move on to the next obstacle. There's going to be a lot of portages to cross on the River Gipping. I think I've got to get a license for this. Somebody mentioned that to me as well. I've never had a license when I've rowed on the river, never done it, but then that river has never been that good to row on anyway. It's always been overgrown. But there is a river canal group on there at the moment. There's several groups on there at the moment cleaning it up, and there's another one that's trying to turn it back into a navigation canal. There's a lot of history on the River Gipping, a lot of history. The River Gipping was named after a village called the Gipping Village, and the source goes right as far back as Mendlesham almost, so I don't think we'll be starting from the source, because that's just going to be too far and I'll not be able to navigate it anyway. But we could start from the nearest point at Mendlesham where it is navigable, where I can actually get a canoe down without too many troubles. That's the Orwell I'm a little bit worried about, because I've been on that with bigger boats and it can be quite treacherous. There's a lot of large ships that plough through there, and there's one particular ship that goes down there that's a cargo ship for lorries, and when that go under the Orwell Bridge, that suck all the water out, and then you get a little bit of a tidal wave come flying up. You've got to plan it right for that one. He flies up that river, he doesn't go slow. I suppose he has to keep the steering going good, but yeah, that's where we're at on that. I have ordered, got one coming, garage door handles, but I don't really know how they're going to go on at the moment, because they're meant to be bolted straight through, and obviously I can't bolt straight through that because the mechanisms are inside and they might jam up. But I don't like these, I'm not happy with them at all, they don't look right. I was also debating about cutting out some checker plate and making up a big checker plate piece there and another one along there. And then I was thinking about cutting checker plate out to cover that all in, but we've still got to have plywood there so I can block it out a bit. So then I thought to myself, well, why don't I just take the doors off and fiberglass it? What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Huh? Ah, shut up. So that's the situation anyway. Right, going back to the outboard, what I suspect has happened with this, he said he had it in the garage. I have no reasons to disbelieve that. It was covered in bird poop, so it had been there a long while. I suspect the last time he used it, it got dropped in the water, completely submerged, and it filled up. He drained it out, but he didn't dry it out, and then he put it into the garage, and that's where it sat. What a lot of people are not aware of with these things is these heads are not waterproof. That tube with the wire go through is hollow all the way down into here. In fact, you can still see water coming out. That tube is still saturated. So I reckon after he drained it, instead of leaving it upside down to drain properly, he just laid it in the garage, and that's where it sat all them years. And obviously that's got into the motor. That's all cleanable. That still works. I've checked it. It does still work. I've just got to get rid of all the muck, clean it all out as best as I can. I'll have to soak the thing down. That's the only thing I can do, and then carb clean it after. And I've ordered a new brush set, so we're going to have to possibly change them terminals if I can get it to fit it. If I can't, then I'll have to take the brushes out and try and modify the brushes to fit the original, because they just don't make these no more, and go from there. Right, we've been on a cleaning spree. Look at that. Compared to what it was at, that's the rusty water. Yes, it doesn't hurt these to be in water. I've got an arc welder in there which is full of coils, and when I dragged it out of the shed that it was in, it was full of water. As soon as I drained it out, I left it out in the sun to dry for a couple of days, filled it with hydraulic fluid, and it's been working brilliantly ever since. So, and thank you, Mark, because they were brilliant, because that has, even though my drill is on its way out, has also cleaned that up. So I'm going to be putting this in the house to dry off so I don't get any rust, but I'm not putting it on the radiator because that could melt the glue that holds the magnets. I'll put this on the radiator, but I'm going to put a cloth over the top, or I'm going to put a cloth on the radiator first because I don't want to melt anything in here. We've cleaned up inside there, that's like brand new almost, and I think when I get my dinghy, or whatever it is I'm using this for, I'm just going to put it together for now, get it working again. Oh my god, I was just doing some research on the river gipping, the ability, let me get under a light, well I've got a bit more light, there we go. So as I have the ability to use and access the river gipping waterway for this thing I want to do. And it turns out I may not be able to get a license to row it or paddle it. The reason behind it is when the river gipping was a navigation which started in the 1700s, it was abandoned roughly in the 1930s as a navigation, and it therefore fell into the ownership of somebody else, and that opened up all the rights for house dwellers to purchase various parts of the river as part of their land. I can give you two prime examples. I know that on Brantford, was it Brantford or was it Sproughton? Sproughton, sorry. Sproughton village, there is a mill. Now that has now been sold to somebody else who's now turned it into a home. They have a bridge that goes over so they can access it from the other side of the riverbank. But from previous conversations I had years ago with the owner of that mill before he sold it, is he actually excuse me, owned the pool that was in front. Now the pool is actually a widened area of the river. It's like a large pond, but it isn't as such. You've got the original lock area that's now a weir, and then you've got big open space where the water would move into, and then it goes under the bridge. Now that area is private. It's been marked up with a sign saying private. I'm therefore not allowed by law to be in that area. That might not be so much of a problem because there is a weir and I'd have to portage over the weir anyway, so I'd probably relaunch under the bridge. That's just one example. There is several locks along the Gipping, because I've walked it, I've done the full 12-mile walk. There are several locks that have been incorporated into people's back gardens. There's another one just past Balaam that I know of. There's a footbridge that goes over the lock that accesses someone's back garden, and I believe they own that lock, and getting in and out of that would be tricky. And there was another one, oh bloody hell, yeah, Balaam, another one near Balaam, someone's back garden. They've actually nicked the whole, well, I say nicked, that's not the word I'm using as an example of it disappearing to someone's ownership. They haven't necessarily stolen it, but they have extended their garden right across the lock. And I remember the last time I was up there, the original lock gates are still there. There's no weir there, there is a lock gate, and how the hell they're still there I don't know. But when I was walking that riverbed area, the footpath abruptly stopped and you had to walk through the housing estate and walk all the way around to re-access the river again, which must have been about 50-60 metres at least. That part of the lock and that part of the river is owned by that house, and I'm sure there's going to be loads more. It wouldn't even surprise me if the bungalows that back onto the river down by Sprawton, if half of them don't own that area of river. So it's going to be extremely difficult to do what I want to do. Right, update on the gibbing. I might be able to get a 60 quid licence that will give me access to some of the river, but not all of it. But I have to go to a website called Go Paddle or something and get their membership, and then read up on what I can and can't do, and I think that river is included. So there's further updates to come on that one. In the meanwhile, I'm standing here absolutely fed up. I've been bragging to my mate for a long time about how good MILWAUKEE tools are against the Makita. Okay, I'm not interested. I'm just saying I've been claiming they're really good. £250 I paid a long time ago for a drill because I got fed up with all my other drills blowing up. I don't know how long I've had this. Could be a year, probably 2 years. It packed up yesterday, just would not work. Last night I just literally slung it in the shed without to sod it, and this morning I put a battery on it and bang, it went again. And I don't know what the heck's going on with it, but what I will say is that fan must be a very powerful fan, because it has sucked in all my clothing dust, fluff from my clothes, because I tend to push on the drill with my body weight, and it's also picked up sawdust, MDF dust, you name it, has picked it up. So we're waiting for some carburetor cleaner, and we're going to give that a good squirting and see if we can't relieve. Because let's face it, it's not getting any cooling with all that crap in there, is it? For starters, so it could just plainly have overheated. And I'm not sure if I want to pull that gearbox apart, but I would like to get some grease in that gearbox after I finish, but I don't think that's going to be possible. What I might do instead is pour a bit of engine oil. There is some screws around there, but what I'm worried about is pulling that out and it all falling apart on me, and then I'm left with how the hell do I fix that? That's what I'm more concerned with at the moment. Okay, so carb cleaned it. Got about as clean as I can get it with that. It's a hell of a lot better, but that doesn't mean it's going to work any better. Also re-greased the gearbox. I used a grease gun for that, wedged it in that epicyclic gearbox or planetary gearbox bit, and just kept pumping until it squeezed out the edges. So yeah, the only thing I'm a bit concerned about I have no idea what that is. That fell out. I don't know if it's part of the gun or a bit of shrapnel got in there from a job I was doing. I just don't know. I can't find any evidence of that breaking. It fell out from around about here somewhere. So I'll have to have a look at the other handle and just see if there was something else. Okay, so I put it all back together and watch this snap back. And a little red light flashing away there. So when I was using it, I was drilling and it was just conking out when you tipped it. So I'm wondering, with all the crap that was inside it, if the snapback was interacting. Now to get it off, you've got to put that in a neutral position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Red light on. Snapback is now off. So that's brilliant. At the moment, that looked like that now work. It's all been greased up in the gearbox, all the other stuff has been cleared. Air can now blow through the motor again, so that should stop that from ever potentially overheating. This is like a brand new drill. Hoo-yah! Brushes have come. I should have shown you this from the beginning. This is the original, and this is the purchase one that has no chance in hell in fitting without some major modifications. So what I've done is I've cut it. I've now got it to the point where it will lay in there at roughly the same height. Bearing in mind the brushes are very different. In fact, the BISON one, the new one, that has better brushes. Look at that. I mean, the amount of current that can flow through that against that. They've really gone out to do a shit hot job on that one. So they go in there. There's a spring. I've altered the spring, so the spring tensioner originally was against that area, but I needed to cut all that out, so I've re-drilled, punched a new hole in. That one's just got to be pushed down a little further than it is, but we'll deal with that in a minute. It's just a question now of making this fit inside of that hole. So I need those tubes now cut off, so I'm now about to destroy this. I have no idea if they're stainless steel or not. I'd prefer to put them back on, but cutting a slit and the distance that I've got to go to get it closer just isn't going to work. So I think the best thing is cut those tubes off and literally rest them in place. I mean, if I can super glue them, I'll super glue them, but I don't really see much hope in that. The only other thing I could probably do is put sellotape around all of this, put the tubes in place, and then pour some fiberglass resin over the top. But yeah, I still don't think that would fit. I could resin it up after if I wanted to, just to hold everything in place. But changing the brushes, well, actually changing the brushes wouldn't be difficult because they screw into there. Look, I mean, you don't get clip-ins like you got here, you actually get a proper solid screw, so I could effectively be able to change the brushes again for BISON brushes. Right, the plate is in. I think it's the correct height. I have put a spacer at the bottom, and the only reason I did that is because this is hitting in here somewhere, which is telling me that this is not centre. I've elongated the holes, so what I've got to do now is undo those two screws after I've found where the mark is, where it's hitting, and try and shove it over and then re-screw it back down, because the points that I've got underneath, you know, the tubes that are holding this, they're loose, they're not fixed. Once I know that this is going to spin, I will then mix up some resin and very carefully pour it inside so it comes flush with where you see my finger at the cracks there. I will attempt, I don't want to do this, but I was actually, no, I won't be doing this. I was going to grease the screws so I can take them out, but to be honest with you, sod that idea. Did we push that bloody pin down? I can't even remember if I pushed that bloody pin down. That's that side. Right, so I've got that to do as well. No grindy noise. It's no longer hitting. Right, well I'm happy with that. So next is to get this level in a vise and chuck some resin down there. I've got shed loads of syringes, so I think the easiest and best way to do it is to do a mix and pour it in, and I hope I don't overflow, because if I overflow I'm in big trouble. So it's just got to be under just enough to lock this entire thing in. I'll never be able to remove it again, because this is made of some sort of compressed material, I don't know what, but it's fibrous, and it's all been cleared of its gloss underneath, so the resin is going to stick to that like poo or a blanket, I tell you. So I'll be very careful. I mean, with this far ahead on it now, that washer can come out if it needs to, so we'll see where we end up with that. The brushes can be cut back a little bit if need be as well. That's not a problem. I would like to try and utilise these points here for the brushes, so I'll snip these off, put some different terminals on, and then see where we end up, if I can get those to go around tight enough. I am a little worried about the pin on this side, but it was such a nightmare to get in. I don't know, it might break under tension with that, maybe. I don't know, we'll see. I put the hole in the wrong place with the look of it. The other one's not great. See, those pins there were actually on the side here, there, and what I did is I took a winding off the spring and then cut and then bent it round and then drilled again, but I didn't put it in the correct hole. I didn't drill the right hole. I should have done a series of holes and I could have adjusted it, but you know, hindsight and all that. There's the syringe, there's the resin, and I've gone as high as I dare go. If I go any higher, I'm worried it'll hit the area where the brushes are, and then we really will be in trouble. I mean, one more would have been okay, I suppose, but I don't know how level this damn thing is. I can't find my spirit level that I normally use for jobs that are intricate. It's a little small one, a little keychain. Excuse my language. Excuse me a minute. I've just checked it. We can put that back up there. Maybe I should try one more. 1/2 syringe, that's all I really need, isn't it? There you go. That is solid. I am extremely pleased with that. So it's a little too late to do any more now, but tomorrow we will pull those wires through, cut them, put some new ends on. I'm going to have to switch them around a bit though, because if memory serves, the red was on that far end one and that yellow wire is just plainly not going to reach, so we may have to put the red this end. All that means is that forward will be reverse and reverse will be forward, I believe. The black will reach over the back there nicely, so it's just that yellow one just isn't going to be long enough, and I don't particularly want to cut it and crimp it because it's such a short wire anyway. I mean, I could put a terminal on the end of that, I suppose, if I had to, as long as I can get it out of the way so it don't interfere. Memory serves, the last I don't even know what you call it, brush holder, I think that did actually have ways of holding the wires in place, whereas this one doesn't. Well, here we go. They're all in. I've super glued the terminals just to stop the screws from coming undone, because I couldn't get those to go on because I cut the screws too damn short. So I just let that dry off now, and then we can put all the windings back in, put the magnets on, and then hopefully do everything up and see what's what with it all. Put power to it and see if the damn thing spins. I have to admit to myself, I think I've done a good job of that. I know self-praise is one of them things you shouldn't do, but There's been so many disasters going on just lately, these last few weeks. That'd be nice for something to go right, just for once. The dog's limping again. He's hurt himself. I don't know what he's done. Front leg. I'm going to have to get this GoFundMe page started soon, because if I don't, we ain't going to have him for much longer. That's the feelings I have on it. Oh, God. Right, moment of truth. Plug this in. Okay. I think that's the right one. I ain't tried it yet, so this is a first. It works. That's reverse. Bearings are a bit screwed. Oh, I know what that is. I ain't put the washers back. So what I've got to do now is I've got to strip it again, because I've now got to get some sealant. Oh, I don't think I've got any. Damn it. I need some black sealant to put around the seals, top and bottom, and I need to put some grease inside the rubber seal at top. It's got a double seal on it, so I need to fill that with grease to stop the water from getting in. It's a question of putting the handle back together, which we've got problems on that as well, because I tried to extend the handle, jammed up, and that, I gave one almighty yank and the whole flipping lot pulled out, and all the little bits of plastic popped out everywhere. But there you go, that is a goddamn result. Absolutely 100% bloody pleased with that. I am feeling right pleased with myself at the moment. So it's in, it's done. The only major alteration I had to make was the propeller was hitting the casing, and the reason for that is when I put the electrics in, I pushed the electrics down just a little bit too low, not by a lot, but enough to make a difference, because when I locked that down, that was rubbing. It was still spinning, but it was rubbing. If I'd have raised that up about 2mm higher, I wouldn't have needed to do anything to the propeller. Now you're probably thinking, well, if you need to replace the propeller, you've got problems. Not really. There ain't no propellers for these. Whatever I put on here will be from another machine, and it'll be modified as well. So we're just going to use this and run it into the ground, and when it dies again, that'll probably end up in the scrap pile somewhere, stripped, and I'll have a hunt for another one, because these are coming down in price now. This one was made in Korea. I can't find the company online. I'm assuming they've gone bust. It's okay for what it is. What I mean by that is build quality is not too bad, but some of the Chinese stuff now has overtaken it. Even though the quality is better than the early Chinese stuff, the Chinese stuff, modern stuff, has overtook it, I think. But it works. I ain't complaining. So at the moment, all in, 75 quid. To buy this on eBay, very used, because this was hardly used when I got it, but one that's really been used, you're looking at about 130 quid, roughly 100, 130 quid. If you pay any less than that, then you're buying something that's probably knackered, and you're probably going to have to fix it. And I suspect it will be the brushes that you'll be doing. And you can't get brushes for these, not for this particular one anyway. So what's left? We've got to put the handle back on. They have broken the handle. There's a little, it's got a ratchet in there that when you pull the handle out, it has notches and it hits the notches. But I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking, does it really matter in the grand scheme of it all? Because I'm already debating, I mean, this is plastic, but I'm already debating about cutting this tube down, and I'm thinking, why don't we take the wiring from the inside, fill this up with sealant so water can't get in, and then we'll put this on a platform which will be on 4 poles that can lift in and out of the water. We can cut the tube down so we can put this at a permanent height, never to be removed again, not to be turned, i.e. what I mean by that is this is static on the canoe, so the only way we can turn is by using the oars, And because I want this to be a seagoing canoe as well, I'm putting a very sharp high bow on it, and I'm thinking, why not do what the skiffs have and have a rudder with a foot control or something like that. That would be fun, and it is just for fun, you know, nothing more than just a bit of fun. So yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do this, so I'm just going to put it back together as normal and then put it back at the shed and forget about it for a period of time, because the next thing I've got to find now is a hell of a cheap canoe, and I need to pull my finger out because the summer weather is getting here and those damn things are going to go up in price, and I'll miss the summer because I won't pay anything over £50 for one on principle. So yeah, I need to find one, or I'm going to have to make one or the other. I need to start fundraising for the dog, and that's what this is all about. Some of you are probably thinking, man, why don't you just put the page up? We'll save the money, the amount of money that's needed. I'll never be able, I'll never raise it. Never raise it. I'll be better off promoting him on YouTube, keeping my channel going, keeping you guys fed on information, and anybody else that's come on. Do some explores, put that on my history channel I've got, that's got very few videos on at the moment, with only probably 2 subscribers. So I'll probably do an advert clip for this channel, but the whole program, the full length program, will be on my British History Hunting channel, I think is what it's called. British History Hunting, yeah, I think that's what I called it, I can't remember. So yeah, that's the plan. Right, so we'll put the handle back together and we'll demonstrate that, and then I think I'm going to call this video and I shall go upstairs and upload it for Sunday. I am finished, it is done, and I even managed, look, the handle. So damn happy about this. So you got the, I can't do it one-handed. There you go, because you've got to push that in, that releases the ratchet. There you go. I mean, that was wobbly anyway. It would be nice though to find a way of stiffening that up. There was nothing in there. Honestly guys, there was nothing in there when I pulled it apart. And I have absolutely no reason to believe that the guy who had it has had this apart as well. I'm starting to, as I recited everything back to how the day played out, I am quite convinced that he genuinely thought it worked. So the thing is I don't know which way I'm going. So we won't know if we've got a very fast reverse or a very slow reverse. If this is, so on an outboard itself, what are we? But yeah, it is. So that's forward. Which is faster? That's less. That's definitely more. But it's got less settings. One, neutral. 1, 2, 3. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's weird. So forward is actually slower than reverse. I wonder if I have got those wires the wrong way around then, and that reverse is the reverse on this is faster. Some of you know what I'm talking about. It's irrelevant anyway. It's going on a canoe. You get an hour at full thrash anyway. That's probably going to be too fast for a canoe. I'll probably have it on what, setting 3 at the most. That should give me, I don't know, maybe 3 hours of battery life to plough up and down the river. It ain't a lot, but it's a lot when you hit the River Orwell and big ships are coming, you know what I'm saying, and then I can thrash it in. I'm getting on a bit. I know I keep saying it. I'm just trying to stay safe, fill this channel up with stuff at the same time, and that's the object. Buy a bargain, recycle it to do the same job again or a different job, and I think that has come out a success. I'm bloody pleased with that, if I do say so myself. I have no idea though if the rubbers are any good on the propeller going through that plate at the end here. There's no slop, so who knows. We'll put it in the water, and in future when we bring it out we need to hang it upside down, so if there is water in there that will drain straight out. It's no good me spraying WD-40 over everything, because the heat generated from it will burn that away anyway. Can't get access to it as much as I'd like to, we can't, so it's a kind of use it and hope that the thing lasts as long as it does, and then look for another one ready, something a little bit more modern and a little bit more up to date. This guy said this had been sitting years. FLOVER, I have no idea, I'm assuming that's how that is pronounced. They're not in existence anymore, I don't think. I looked on their website and it came up with blank page, so I have a funny feeling lockdown probably finished them off. You know, the Korean page, because the whole country went in lockdown, didn't it? So there you go, that is it, I am done. Right, the reason why I've done no work on the camper build is very simple. It's bloody freezing cold out here, and fiberglass, I can't get it to set properly anyway. It's acting, when it sets it looks like it's gone, how can I put it, all blistery and rubbish, because I've had to put so much catalyst with it. Jobs to do. Diesel, come on, shift. Jobs to do. Well, I've got garage door handles to go on there now. I just got to figure out at the moment how I'm going to do that, and one of my thoughts were cut a checker plate square out neatly, yeah, drill a hole, drill two other holes, shove the handle onto the checker plate and bolt that from behind the checker plate, because we can't run the bolts all the way through, and then the 3 bolts that hold that plate on, mark up and drill through the checker plate with those as well, and then the checker plate and everything will be held in place. And I think that would be the best way, because also what this achieves is it gives me 2 more locks. If I go camping in this and I decide to do the Broads, Norfolk Broads, I've got to find somewhere to put it. I want to make it as hard as possible for somebody to break into. I know where the weak point is, but a thief may not. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locks they've got to break into to get into that side. In the meanwhile, thank you for viewing. I appreciate it. Feel free to comment. I ain't had many comments lately. Well, constructive ones anyway. So, I'll see you next time round. Thank you. Bye bye.